Welcome back to another episode of Procrastination Garage. And we've been procrastinating all week. Weekend's here, time to get a couple things done. We're going to start out, we're going to jump right into the utility trailer for the UTV tie downs that we've been putting off for, well, since the beginning of Procrastination Garage. I'd like to take the UTV out next week, and I'd like to be able to strap it down by the wheels. So I think we'll start with that project. Now the one question is, I've got the kit, but does it have enough bolts, because it's got to be bolted down through the decking on the trailer, and I honestly don't know how many bolts it came with, so it may require a run to the hardware store, but we'll check that out first thing. We barely walked in the door and Shop Kitty's already come to greet us. Took us over the food bowl to make sure he's got enough. How you doing this morning, Bear? You having a good day? Okay, here's the box of parts. See, we got some straps, and I do see some nuts and bolts there. Is that enough? Well, certainly enough to get started with. So we'll go ahead and run with it. First, we've got to clear some space in the shop. I don't know if we need to get the trailer in here or not, but we at least need to get the UTV out and make it so we have a little bit of room to work. The more I think about it, I think I'll just leave the trailer right where it's at, hooked up to the truck. We do need to take the sideboards and front pieces off. And an FYI, or maybe a teaser, those things are going to get painted. The story behind those sideboards, last year I needed them to haul some brush, and several years ago I took down some dilapidated fencing from over by our rental property. A neighbor lady owned, I don't know, 7 or 8 houses back in there and had all this white fencing that was falling apart. And so I asked her if I could take it down, if I could keep the wood. And it was all 2x6 lumber, and most of the pieces were about 10 foot in length, although some had rotted ends and stuff. But I got a lot of wood out of it, and I've got a big old pile that I use for just miscellaneous stuff, and so that's what I used. The plan was to go ahead and paint it as soon as I built it, but you know, procrastination and all, it didn't get done. But I'm getting tired of looking at it like this, so I think what I need to do is I need to kind of scrape it a little bit and prime it and then paint it. And it's going to be painted black to match the trailer. So for now, let's just get them off and we'll get the tie downs mounted, and then maybe we'll get started on that project, the painting, in this video. Okay, we need to figure out what the track width is on this thing, front and rear. In a perfect world, front and rear will match, just because I'm kind of anal that way, and when I put my brackets down on the trailer, I'd kind of like everything to match up. Not sure they will, so we'll measure the rear first. Notice the, what is it, camber? I think it's camber. Looks all wacky on this thing, and that's just the way they are from the factory. I don't know why. I don't like it. I know there's lift kits or shot kits that will fix that, and maybe one day I'll upgrade to it. I guess it handles fine on the trail, but the fact that this thing is semi-road legal and capable of going down the road at 35 miles an hour, I'm not sure that aids handling at all. Although, what do I know? So let's measure it and see what we've got. Lining up about the center of the tire, which is where that mark is right on the tire, and coming across, lining up there pretty close, and we're right about 51, you can read that upside down, 51 inches. So now let's check the front. Looking at the front, I've got it centered pretty close on the right front tire, and then you come across, and again, we're right in there. So it's more like 50.5 on this one, but I'm not sure that I'm as lined up as well on this side since I can't stand back as far and look at it. So we're just going to split the difference, and I think we'll go with 50.5. Next step, we're going to load it on the trailer so we can figure out the wheelbase. And she fires right up. How's that look? That's about where I usually have when I'm towing. So I got enough weight forward. The engine sits pretty much right between the driver and passenger there. So we got enough weight ahead of the axle there. Should have good 10% on the tongue, if not more. So we've got clearance at the front. Make sure we're not banging against the wooden piece there. And then we got plenty of clearance at the back to make sure we're away from the ramp. So I'm just going to line up the wheel pieces and then we'll get started. The pieces will mount something like that. Now the question is, should I give a little bit of space in between them, knowing that somewhere down the road, if I have bigger tires or something that I'm going to want more space or not worry about it. Same with the front, same with the back. I don't know. It's probably not anything worth worrying about, because who cares if I have to drill more holes down the road. The idea is that I haul this TERYX on this trailer. So now what I've got to do, I've got to get the TERYX off here. I've got to measure side to side, figure out where the center is, and then make sure my spacing's 50.5 across, and then measure, just get everything nice and centered, and then start drilling some holes. And here lies the problem. So we're looking for 50.5 to 51 inches. The problem is, in order to get it set up on the decking just right, to where I can grab some meat on both boards, I'm closer to 52. So probably won't be a big deal. I'm just going to put a couple of bolts in, and then we'll run the UTV up and see how it looks. I think we'll be okay. So that'll take care of the front ones. These are all situated just like I want them. Just need to drill and mount them. When we get to the back, we're going to have another problem though, because those are sitting roughly where they need to be, fore and aft. The problem is, I don't know if you look down through, there's a crossbar there, and then there's a crossbar there, which intersects a couple of my bolts. So what to do, I'm not sure yet. I can re-drill maybe on that one. This one, maybe I'll just drill and thread it. We'll see. But let's go ahead and get the front ones drilled and get the UTV up there and see how it looks. I used a 9/32 bit to drill the hole initially, because that's about what size this is. But I think what I'll do is I'll drill the wood out just one size bigger. That way there won't be any binding problems. All that fretting over nothing. Turns out I don't have it cinched down tight because I don't have enough bolts holding it. I don't want to bend the mounts or anything, but we're pretty much centered on the tire all the way over, all the way down here in the front. You can see how I already pulled the outside up on that one a little bit. And same thing over on this tire here. Everything looks good. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to double check my rear measurements here, make sure I get these brackets where I want them, and then I'll take the UTV off. I'll go ahead and finish drilling out the front and bolt that down solid, and then I'll go ahead and do the back. And I probably won't do a test run bringing the UTV back up. I'll probably just go ahead and mount them solid. Still not sure what I'm going to do about some of the bolts, because I assume these bolts are metric, and I'm not sure I have a metric tap and die set. I might. I'll have to check. If I do, then I don't mind drilling down into the crossbar and mounting them that way. But if I don't think I have any. They'd look like they'd be 1/4 inch or maybe one size up bolts. I don't know if I have everything I need to do that. So let's just see what we got. Wouldn't you know, one of the mounts, I had to drill new mounting holes to line up in this cross piece here. And wouldn't you know, one of them fell on one of the decking screws. Not in a million years would I have guessed that it was actually going to come loose without snapping off. In fact, I should have filmed it when I was loosening it, because it made a popping noise, and I thought, yeah, just broke the head off. But look at that. Sucker's coming out. Awesome. So what that means is now I'll put the bracket back in place and drill the hole. And so I have to tap that one right there, and then I drilled one right here. Can you see that? Not doing a very good job of centering it. And then I drilled one right there, and I'll have to tap that one. And then I'll do the same on the other side. The right side is done. I've got front, back mounts, all the bolts. Each mount's got 6 bolts going down through it. That's all done. The mount's up there in the left corner. Everything's been drilled. I just need to put bolts in and tighten everything down. I like to pull it up first and get rid of all the sawdust underneath it and then do it, so that'll be a little bit of work, but it's mostly done. And then I have your start on this left rear corner. This is taking a lot longer than I thought it would. Part of it is I'm just so damn picky on my measurements and everything, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's come along. The weather, it's been hot. I'm sorry I'm doing this out in the sun today. Now the freaking wind's blowing because there are thunderstorms all around. And my luck, a thunderstorm will come along about the time I want to get to work right over there. So these two mounts here, the ones that I re-drilled, and then I ended up going down through the metal support underneath it. The metal support was just angle iron, and dumbass me, I'm thinking, yeah, you're gonna have to tap that. I could have just drilled through and put a nut, and in fact, I tapped it, I ran the bolt down through, and then I still put a nut on the bottom. So over-engineered. I kind of, in my mind, I thought it was square tubing, and I didn't even think about it before I started doing all the work and tapping and everything. So anyway, just need to get the other side done, and then we can wrap this up for today. Like I said, this whole thing is just taking forever. I've been out here for several hours, and I don't know why it's taking so long, but you know, sometimes these projects, they do. So let me finish up and then we'll come back. Both sides are firmly mounted, so we're ready to run the UTV up and see how everything lines up and fits. What I can tell you is that it took way longer than I thought it was going to. I'm not sure why. And then it didn't help that if you look down on the ground here, you know, it's not just asphalt. There's a lot of dirt and rocks and little stuff like that, and I'm down in it. And then as I was finishing up, I got a leg cramp in my left leg. My wife will appreciate that. It just was kind of a miserable job. You know, why do I have a freaking shop if I'm always out working elsewhere? So anyway, let's get it loaded up and see how she fits. I'm not going to be lined up real well because I'm kind of crooked because I'm up against the trailer behind me. So we'll just, I guess you got to put it in gear, Matt. All right, let's try that. Yeah, right about there. All right, there's the front tire, mostly centered. Back tire, close enough. How are we looking side to side? Yeah, it needs to come over to the left a little more, but that was on me. That's got nothing to do with the way the things are lined up. So we're going to call this a win. I'm not going to strap it down because I'm too lazy. It's late in the day. We'll strap it down another time, but it's obvious it's going to work. Let me pull the mower up on here real quick and see how it fits up in the left front one, because I want to be able to strap down the left front wheel on the mower. Okay, left front wheel snugged up. I like it. I do have to say though that it was really close, the mower deck coming over the top of those. It cleared, but it just about didn't. And I can either run the tires of the mower over those, or I can run between them. I'm not sure which way is best. It's easier, going between them is easier, but it puts the deck closer to them. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We'll get used to it. And now we need to figure a way to strap down the back still. These things here, I'm not sure what they're called, but it's a standard connector. And they have just flat pieces. And I could just get a flat piece and put it somewhere. In fact, I could get one long enough where I could get over the back of this wheel here and just do the left front quarter and the right rear corner. And that'd be good enough. I'll have to think about it a little bit. Anyway, we're going to call this project done. We still need to think about painting the parts and pieces, the sideboards. What's next on Procrastination Garage? Well, tell you what, another brake job. I know you guys are tired of brake jobs. You think you're tired of brake jobs. I'm tired of brake jobs. My daughter is home from college. Actually, she's in California with her mom, and so I need to do the brakes on her little Mazda 5. She says that they've been making noise for over a year, so this might be interesting. Not only she probably doesn't have any pad left, she may not even have any disc left. Let's hope it's not that bad. Anyway, we got to move some vehicles around, and then we'll pull the front end apart and see what it looks like. Of course, we need to start by making room so we can get down the driveway. Truck and trailer are still hooked up. I'm just going to move them up the driveway off to the side, and then we'll pull the UTV out of the shop, and then we'll bring her little car down. It doesn't have to be a fancy park job. It just has to be out of the way enough to get down the driveway. We've mostly got enough room to work in here now. Let's just get this mower pushed out of the way and we'll be all set. There's our little Mazda 5. This is a nice little car, 4-cylinder minivan. This was a graduation present when she graduated high school for going off to college. And so far it's been a dependable little thing. This is our second Mazda. Well, I guess technically our third Mazda. But the other Mazda was an MPV van, and it was a real runner. We ran it to 200,000 miles and never gave us any real problem. Currently, the Mazda is on its running winter tires. They were studded tires. I pulled the studs out in the spring because a lot of the studs had already ejected themselves, and our other tires needed to be replaced, and so I just haven't gotten around to buying them yet. So when we do buy the new tires, we're going to mount and balance them ourselves. We're going to try that. I've got a tire changer for mounting tires. Mainly I bought it for trailer tires. But I'm interested to try it on this car. The mounting's easy. It's going to be the balance. I'm going to buy a bubble balancer from Harbor Freight. We'll see what happens. But for now, let's get these front wheels off and see what we've got to work with. Time to bust these loose. There's one. And there's two. Alright, there's the old pads. They're thin, but they've still got some meat on them. Same with that one. And there's the new pads. So left front is not a problem. Changing out just in time. Alright, getting it put back together. Tighten it up using my calibrated click, click, click. I'm right on the verge of getting a leg cramp in my upper thigh. Got the bolts removed from the left side. Caliper's loose. See if we can get it out without dropping it. It's always hard to do things one-handed. Yeah, it's out. Just couldn't quite get it done with one hand. Anyway, two hands. It's resting on top of the brake shield. I've got to run up the house and get some water. I know that's what my wife is yelling this whole time is, drink water, you stupid fool. All right, honey, are you happy? I went and got some water. It's in the form of a Diet Pepsi. Now, the truth is, she doesn't think that's one bit funny, but in all actuality, see there, honey? That's all water. These are the pads from the right side. You can see they still got quite a bit of meat left on them. Compare that to the other side. That one's a little thinner. That was probably the outer, and I think this one was the inner. So what I need to tell my daughter, if you're watching, you need to do more braking on the right front and less on the left front. Go a little easier on the left front brakes, please. Well, before we put the hubcaps back on, we should check the tire pressure and see what we've got. Right there, 35 psi. If the other one checks the same, then we're good to go. Front end is complete. Got the car spun around, ass backed in now. I didn't give myself as much room over on this side, but I'm going to move one of the ATVs out, I think. And I've got a little bit more room to work on this side. It's not critical, but every little bit helps. So let's get the back end up on jack stands and get the wheels off. Sometimes the best way is with a wrench and a big ass hammer. There's not a lot of room to get a socket back in there, and this will go just as quick. Okay, I said just as quick, but that was a lie. These things have just enough corrosion on them to where you think you can do them with your fingers, so you reach in there and you try and spin with your fingers. It's too tight, so you a couple more spins with the wrench. Feels loose enough to do with your fingers. You put your fingers back in there, still can't do it. So back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Finally spun them pretty much all the way out with an open end wrench. Not fast, but at least it's not too hard to get to, and other than taking a little bit of time, it wasn't that big of a deal. Now, what I need are some ratcheting box ends, and I have some smaller sizes, but this is a 17 millimeter. No, I'm sorry, this is a 14 millimeter. You know what? I should check. I don't think I go up to 14. I was wrong. I do have a 14. I wished I'd checked that sooner. Well, this will help me putting it back together and also help on the other side. Live and learn. Nothing comes easy. So I was having trouble getting the caliper separated enough to get the brake pads in on those rear brakes. And I thought, you know, maybe I'll look at YouTube. And sure enough, as I was afraid or suspected, I saw that there was a type of caliper that you needed to turn and press to get the calipers to separate. And I was watching a guy do it, and he was kind of figuring it out on his own. And I thought, you know what, they probably make a tool for that. So we're headed to AutoZone or O'Reilly's, whoever's open. Hopefully they've got a tool that I can buy that's relatively cheap. So 70 bucks later, I'm back from AutoZone, and there's what I picked up. Okay, I didn't really need the gloves, but I figured what the heck. So I bought the tool there in the center. That was $12. That's what I've been using, where I've been using washers and a screwdriver. Figured I'd splurge. This is the tool I need, supposedly, but honestly, I'm not exactly sure how it works yet. I'm going to try and figure it out, and if not, I'll be looking at YouTube. I know you got to spin the little part inside the caliper, but I'm not sure what makes it go back. I don't know if it's threaded. The guy I saw on YouTube indicated that he had to put pressure on it also, so that didn't make any sense. So we'll figure it out, but at least we've got the right tool. But anyway, that tool was 40 bucks by itself, but it's adaptable to use on 2-pin and 3-pin calipers. And even though this is a 2-pin, who knows down the road. And there was a universal adapter, another one that was like $13, but it was kind of hokey, so I went with this one. So let's figure out how to use it. All right, here's what I learned. On this job, this tool is kind of a waste. The problem is, while you're supposed to be able to spin it and screw the little caliper piston back in, the caliper piston has no desire to go in just by screwing it. It needs pressure applied to it. But using this tool, that works. I put that on there and I apply some pressure and then carefully take a pair of pliers and screw in on the caliper itself, being careful of the rubber boot, and it worked piece of cake. So I'll try and show you on the left side. Right side is done, I'll put it back together. Now we're on the left. Once we get this one done, we're done with this little car. Except it needs an oil change, but I'm not sure that'll be part of this video. Hear that? Yeah, that's the sound of a person doing it the easy way instead of the hard way. Okay, see, all right, here's this tool installed. And like I said, you need to put pressure, you need to turn this, and then the little metal part right there, you need to spin that with a big pair of pliers, and then watch this dust seal right there. And you spin that counterclockwise, put pressure on there, and it'll retract. Unfortunately, I can't show you, I don't have enough hands, but just trust me and I'll show you once it's compressed. I had good intentions of showing the caliper pushed all the way back in, but by the time I got there, I was just so excited to get the brake pads in there and back on the disc that I forgot. And by the time I realized, I wasn't going to take it apart. So anyway, this side's good. So for the record, and so my daughter will know this, she thought she had the worst brakes of the three vehicles. Turns out she had the best brakes. Her pads were worn, but they weren't worn beyond use. So hers were still in pretty good shape, all things considered. I mean, she was due a brake job, but it's not like it went way past, which was the case for the Venza and for my little Suzuki. Anyway, get the tires back on and air them up, and then we'll think about an oil change. What I need to determine is if I have the proper grade oil or close, because if it's 0W20, I don't have it. If it's 5W20, I got plenty of that. So we'll see. And I may put 5W20 in it. We'll just have to look at the owner's manual and see what the recommendations are. I checked tire pressure both sides. This side was 35. The other side was down to 30, so it was a little low. I went ahead and put 5 more pounds in this side because the air compressor was on over here. So 40 here, 30 there, averages out to 35. Fronts are at 35, so we're set. Cars with low ground clearance, what a pain. I tried to move up on the ramps, but the front of the valance there kept hitting and was pushing the ramps forward. I thought maybe it'd just clear. So anyway, a couple of 2x6s and we'll get it up there. My daughter indicated she was out of squirter, but we used almost all of it in her mom's car here last week. So I'm gonna have to go buy some more, but at least it won't be dry. Oil's drained, filter's changed. Gonna put 5W20 in it. Takes 5.2 quarts. This is 5 quarts, and I've got part of a leftover container. So we'll wrap that up, and then the thing will be done, other than I do need some more windshield washer squirter. The procrastinator in me wants to say, you know what, let's just leave it till tomorrow. We'll clean up then. I don't feel like it. I want to get to editing this video so I can get it posted tonight. But no, we're trying to change our ways, so we're going to go ahead and clean this mess up. It's never a good sign when you have a part left over. Crap. I know right where it goes. I got to pull the right or the left rear wheel off. There's the clip back installed. See, if I hadn't cleaned up tonight, I wouldn't have found that. And when I take the thing for a test drive later, I might have died in a fiery crash. So it's a good thing that I didn't procrastinate. And the other thing is, even if I didn't die tonight in a fiery crash, by the time I found it, when I did clean up, I'd be like, how important could it be? And maybe never would have put it back on. So there you go, kids. It pays to clean up when you're done with the job because you never know what you might find. Well, we got half a tank of gas, so let's go road trip this thing and see if the brakes work and make sure it runs with new oil in it and everything. Why not? Road tripping, smooth at 70 plus miles an hour. Good. Okay, there was the destination. Figured I deserved a dinner tonight. Well, let's call that a wrap on this week's Procrastination Garage. So what did we accomplish? Well, we got the tie downs on the utility trailer for hauling around the UTV. That's the project is long coming. I'm not 100% satisfied with those rear tie down points. I may modify those. The problem is the lawnmower, getting the lawnmower up and over them, and I do that every week, and the UTV doesn't always ride on that trailer. So I don't know, we may change that up a little bit, but it is set up and it works for both right now. And then today we got the Mazda 5 taken care of. We got brakes all the way around, and they weren't as bad as we thought they might be, but they're all fixed now. And got an oil change, new filter, checked tire pressure, and took care of the, well, put some windshield washer fluid in, at least what we had on hand. So we're going to call that a win. Check back for Procrastination Garage hopefully next week, and let me know down in the comments what projects you're working on or not working on, as the case may be. And subscribe, like, do whatever. I appreciate it, and your help keep me motivated to get shit done. So I'm Matt. I'm signing off till next episode of Procrastination Garage.